If this is what you have to experience in order to discover that anything is possible, so be it. Welcome to this episode 100, The Garden Game, on our Intuitive Public Radio. Thank you for tuning in. What on earth is the garden game? One might find oneself asking. If you navigate yourself using some kind of device to this URL, t.me/intuitivegarden, you will start to rock some portion of what we are discussing. Given the present isolatory practices of known active human trafficking organizations, it's especially important for all and every one of us to recognize that when we are alone, we are not alone. Communications have been disrupted. Connection points have been prevented. And yet our reach is more effective than ever before. There are these big pink blossoms outside my window. I want to live in the bush with them. I don't like this screen, window frame separation. My living body has not yet learned, or has it, how to make closer, more consistent contact. I squeeze myself up against the window frame to smell them. They started out as these tiny gray buds. And now they're greens flowing into fuchsias. When the light hits them, they glow. They are full of a particular wholesome kind of light. They alchemize the sunshine. They are transmuting something to something, and there is an energy that rises from them. One feels oneself rising. Intuitive Garden on Telegram Messenger, Joha and I, your community co-hosts, all other co-hosts joyously invited, have been spending time in our channel at Intuitive Garden, t.me/intuitivegarden/ there's a number at the end, that will allow you to find our conversation. Garden Guessing Games begins in earnest at t.me/intuitivegarden/448. Fours are great, aren't they? Flowers are great. And learning about green growing things. If we are privileged to be in an environment of green growing things, and then seriously to the task at hand to repair the body's physiology and functions, to most fully contact one's natural environment and not be separated from it. There are so many voices that when they speak, we do not recognize them as people. And this is the basis of tremendous misunderstanding and needless suffering. But when we come to understand them as people and embrace and respect the mystery of who out there is people, what experiences are people? What did we think were objects and turned out to be people? This brings our fullest selves into relationship in the universe. If we are missing the living beingness of those voices, then we are much closer to true deaths by isolation, not even being able to neurologically intuit, to recognize the others who are there with us in our environments. And indeed, what is an environment if not a living being? So when we find ourselves non-consensually compartmentalized in ways that are violent and kill our bodies, and we then correctly identify the source of the violence to be co-optation and sneakery by known active human trafficking organizations, we have a deep tool set immediately accessible to us in recognizing and honoring the peopleness of the mystery that is in and of all our environments, where we have been acculturated to ignore and dismiss powerful resourcing and people who care about us. When we are playing the garden game, we are really deeply noticing the peopleness of the people around us. We have generally been acculturated against noticing or responding to. Many of us have been conditioned to respond with harms or fear or revulsion, and didn't understand that it was our own selves we were being entrained to reject, our own natural interconnected beingness. There's this video game. It was not a video game, it was an audio game we used to talk about. I am not this moment remembering the name, but it was a very intuitively awakening game in certain ways, in that it required one to navigate by very subtle sound perceptions without really any visual cues to judge spatial distance, among other things, movement, one's progress through the game. It was really something. It was a very useful modality in a landscape that has been very visually biased in a lot of layered and inconspicuous ways. There is a certain point at which one must face one's fears or be permanently diminished. Only the individual can determine what point that is. So this here is Daisy Fleasbane. Is that what Joha said? I think yes. There was something like ground clover or something like that. Maybe these little purple flowers with the scalloped edges, the little purple, little late violet trumpets, and then the leaves are sort of rounded with scalloped edges. These were all violet greens growing out, I think. This is the Russian sage. It came back. It came back. Most other things did not come back. That came back. I don't think we took a picture of that. Space Dog School radio broadcast. I'll go to the other part of the garden and we'll see if we make it. The lemon balm is coming back in massive ways. There is a little ladybug on a strand of grass. There is a rabbit with a brown coat and a white tail bounding across the hedge. I think what that was over there, Joha said, was a baby tree. Now what is this? Is this, well, I don't know. Oh my gosh, this is going to be very interesting. I have much better ways of figuring out what whose names are who have sprouted up here than I did last year. That's very exciting. So so many ways that's very exciting. I don't know if this broadcast is broadcasting. It may be. And if you happen to be listening and can type a response, please feel free to mention to me that the signal is transmitting. I switched from Wi-Fi to the data. Oh, now what's that? What is this here? That's the same plant as over there. Now, that's not a pokeweed plant. I pulled some pokeweed and I haven't seen any of it come back yet. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Yes, this is mint. I don't know if that's vervain. If there's vervain growing here, what a blessing. Whatever it is, what a blessing. I wanted to be able to use the pokeweed. I ended up pulling last year. Oh, look, rabbit poo. Blessings to the digestion of rabbit beings. Don't step in the rabbit poo unless you want more rabbit blessings. Last year I pulled lots of pokeweed, and I really wanted to learn to use it, but I was down to crawling on my belly out to the garden in the rain and the mud and barely being able to move for the pain in my gut and getting the plants into the ground and covering them up with dirt. And I don't know how we managed any of it, but we did it. We did something of what we meant to do, and then we found that it was enough to have at least certain delightful outcomes. There are all these different neat things that one can do with pokeweed if one is wise enough and careful enough, and get poisoned otherwise. So I didn't want to. I didn't want to go unwisely into those adventures. I wanted to plan better. So maybe in some ensuing year. I think Joha called this rubus, and this is a raspberry bush in the box, overflowing its box. So if that's rubus, I need to know a whole lot more about rubus. I probably need to know a whole lot more about rubus anyway. Something around here she said was grape leaves. Oh, where was it? I was taught to fear leaves that are shiny. But if sometimes they're grape leaves and they're good to eat, I would like to be paying particular attention. Where is that one? Was it over there? I don't know. I don't remember if it was over here or over there. I thought I saw it over here too. Like, what's that? I'm not sure. I think it must be around the side. Don't want to alarm the dog. What is this right here? That looks like a young blackberry leaf to me. I'm not sure. Blessings to berries. We did grow some berries last year. How do we nourish the soil here? Are you recognizing the conversations we're really having about our bodies and our ability to contact ourselves and one another? Our ability to recognize our deeply diverse true selves, reflecting all the possible pieces, P-E-A-C-E-S, in all the cosmos. We are cosmologically abundant. even just inside our own infinitesimally tiny selves. This is the garden game. Thank you for playing.